What's going on, everybody? My name is Mr. Leong, and welcome back to another episode of the Startup Starter Kit. This playlist is a series of videos where I go over the business basics that I think are so important when you are running, starting, or trying to grow your own business. And today is a video dedicated to the onboarding and orientation events and process. What are the differences between the two? And what should you include on that very first day of orientation for your newly hired employees? So we're going to get started with that video, and I'm going to share with you what I think should be included in that very first impression that you create when your employees step into your business. So let's get started with the video. All right, here are some tips for onboarding and orientation for your business. Now, it's important to differentiate between the two because sometimes you'll hear the words being used, but they're not supposed to be used interchangeably because they have different meanings. Orientation refers to the process of introducing newly hired employees to the workplace. Basic information is provided. Maybe you get the employees to fill out some government or payroll forms, and it's kind of like a one-time event or day. Now, onboarding is a longer-term process in which new hires are fully introduced to the workplace culture. They're integrated, and it's a series of events, more so than an orientation, which is kind of like a one-off or one-time event or day. Now, onboarding usually happens within the employee's individual departments. That's where they're going to focus on some KPIs, goal setting, and ensure that they're going to fulfill their task by the end of the onboarding period. Now, let's go into what makes a really good orientation day. The orientation sets the foundation for the workplace relationship and the overall employee experience at the business. You want to generate a really good positive first impression. You want to introduce new hires to the team, start to build that team building and integration. There's obviously going to be some paperwork such as going over safety and health policies, paperwork, ID cards, etc. if you're a larger business. But overall, it's important that you plan out the employee's first day or so, and you want to keep the employee engaged. You want to help them navigate the office space and go over the necessary responsibilities and expectations as well. Think about them as if you were in their shoes. I'm pretty sure that you've all worked a job before, and remember that first day when you went in. Maybe you were anxious or a little bit nervous. And that's sort of the feeling and the thought process that I want you to have when planning out the orientation process. So you want to make sure that everything is covered, which is why some companies use a checklist. You have a daily agenda and you have all of these items that you have to get done by the end of the day. This can form a little bit of structure and a sense of organization for your newly hired employees. But the overall first day is just trying to get those newly hired employees into the business, into the workplace, show them around a little bit, and get their feet wet because this is going to mark the very first day of their entire work experience at your workplace. I'm pretty sure we've had a bad employee orientation one time or another. I think when going back to the employee orientations that I've been in, some of them have been a little bit boring, too long or too short, irrelevant, kind of a waste of time, meaningless, creating more confusion or ambiguity, and overwhelming. I think for the first day, all you're really trying to do is make sure that you get over with the necessary items, but you want to give some time and space for the employees to get settled in at the workplace. set up the email, workplace calendar, go over all of the upcoming meetings and stuff like that. But you also don't want to drag it out too long. I find that for a lot of some of my friends who have been a part of orientations, they've said that it's quite boring. You're reading stuff that it can essentially be done in an email or maybe in a printed document. So I think when it comes to employee orientation, it can be too long, but it could also be too short as well and not cover all of the necessary items that you need to cover for the first day. So think about the most important items that are covered in an orientation. What is it that you have to cover, or what can we postpone to a separate day or put into a document for the employees to read? Make sure you have those actionable items and that the time is best beneficially used for the employees on their first day. They're probably going to have some questions as well. Make sure you have some time for them to sort of go around the workplace and get acquainted with it before you push on too much heavy work. I think you also have to remember that orientation is not training, because many employees are quite anxious or nervous in the first day. A good orientation discusses the company at hand, sends some good vibes, and then training can be a part, maybe like a subsection of the orientation where you go over some of the necessary programs, but save the training for the onboarding process. That's where you really delve into some of the software and the necessary daily activities for the employees department. You also want to create a program that allows for ongoing continuous improvement through kind of like a mentorship or feedback mechanism. Employees enjoy it when they feel supported by either a supervisor or somebody to give them a few pointers as they navigate the first month or so in whatever organization you are in. So if you're running a business and you're hiring a few employees, you want to ensure that they feel supported, you answer their questions, and you provide them with an opportunity to learn on the job and have a feedback mechanism where they can get feedback on the quality of their work. I find when you are doing this time investment in training for your newly hired employees, this is going to result in higher quality work because you're watching them and you're providing them with necessary supports to be successful in their job. So, when planning your orientation, I want you to think about a few things. First of all, what is important, what is not important, and what can be put into a manual or kind of pushed aside. Remember, you don't have to cover everything in your orientation. You can also do it over like the first week, have a few meetings where you go over the necessary company policies. But honestly, the more time you invest in your employees, you could be getting a lot of really good returns on your investment because they're going to feel very supported and they have a good sort of sense that the company is organized, there's good structure, and that they feel supported. Focus on fostering positive relationships and allow employees to ask questions that they may have on the first few weeks or so on the job. So orientation is the actual day, but it's really important that you work to foster a positive relationship with your newly hires. I think the whole point of this video is for you to understand that when you make employees feel welcomed on their first day and feel like they belong, they're going to be much more productive and they're going to give you much higher quality work. It's overall good business. So thanks for watching this episode. If you have any questions, post it down in the comments. And I hope you learned something new on this business basics journey. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, if you're interested in learning more, subscribe to the channel. I've got quite a few more videos coming out on how to successfully start, grow, and manage your business. See you later.